So yes, George Pickens comes with added concerns, but there's one person in the Cowboys organization that can keep that from blowing up, and it's not George Pickens, it's not Dak Prescott, and it's not Brian Schottenheimer. What's up, everyone? It's Mauricio Rodriguez here at A to Z Sports Dallas. Today, we are talking egos because that's a big topic that comes to mind following the Cowboys trade for George Pickens. Not only because George Pickens will come into the situation with a big ego as he tries to fight his way into a big payday next offseason, but also the ego of CeeDee Lamb, the Cowboys' #1 wide receiver, the $136 million man. And I think it will be a massive narrative for this Cowboys wide receiver room going into the season. Football-wise, you couldn't ask for a better pairing, right? You've got CeeDee, who is a master of the slot, but can also play outside at a very high level. And then you've got Pickens coming in as a more prototypical X-receiver, kind of that he can go up to get the ball in the air. He can fight cornerbacks one-on-one, and he's also an underrated route runner. Now, that sounds great on paper, but you've got to make the personalities work, because I think the Cowboys are facing a very particular challenge in that they're basically going into the year with 2 receivers worthy of being #1 receivers. And Stephen Jones said it himself on radio earlier in the week when he told Mad Dog Radio that they saw Pickens as a potential 1. Not necessarily over CeeDee Lamb, but he's talking about the level of talent there. Everybody says we're looking for a 2. I mean, George can be a 1. He's got that type of talent. He's got unbelievable ball tracking ability. He's got plenty of use, and he's a fiery competitor. So you've got Jones talking about Pickens as someone who can be a 1, and then you've got CeeDee Lamb, who is obviously a 1. And here's the way that I would describe it. A #3 wide receiver, he is happy to get any number of targets on game day. A #2 wide receiver wants his share of targets, but is also content if the #1 eats more than he does on Sunday. But a #1 wide receiver doesn't want targets. No. He needs targets. He's got a hunger for targets, and that is going to be the situation for both Pickens and Lamb. And yes, of course, Brian Schottenheimer will have to make it work. Dak Prescott will have to make it work, and they'll have to work on that together as quarterback and play caller. They're going to have to spread the football around. But I think in this situation, the one player that I think will have to emerge as a true leader once again is going to have to be CeeDee. And this is something he has even tweeted about, because he did so last week when he took to Twitter and posted that, hey, there is no ego here. That is a big statement that he will have to back up during the 2025 NFL season, because it is one thing to say that there's not going to be any egos on the way in May, and a very different thing to say that during the season after the Cowboys lost the game in which he didn't happen to be targeted much. And what I'm trying to say with this is, when it comes time for CeeDee Lamb to be the guy that just pulls double coverage from opposing defenses and just doesn't get a lot of targets on a given day, he's going to have to be okay with it. I don't doubt that he will be, because I think Lamb saw a tremendous jump in leadership in 2024 when even when he was hurt, he was out there giving it his all for the offense. Even with Cooper Rush at quarterback, he and Micah Parsons were 2 players that really impressed us in that way. They were in it. They really thought they could make the playoffs, and they showed it, and they led by example. Lamb is going to have to be that guy again when it comes to having these discussions about who is being targeted more often than the other one. With all that being said, I still believe CeeDee will lead the team in targets, because I do think CeeDee is on another tier than Pickens is. Sure, Pickens can be a #1 for many teams, but Lamb would be a 1 in all but 3-4 teams at most. I don't think that is Pickens' situation. I think Pickens is a very talented guy that is on his way up, but that still needs to complete his overall game, which is not a knock on him at all, but I do expect CeeDee to remain top dog. Let me know if you agree or disagree that CeeDee Lamb is going to have to be the guy that keeps the wide receiver room in check and happy going into 2025.